Hey, welcome to the 412 podcast. My name is Shay.
My name's Tyler, and our heart behind this podcast is to equip youth pastors, youth leaders, families, and students to do the work that God has called us to build up the church, and to create maximum kingdom impact.
All right, and welcome back to the 412 podcast.
What up, 412 Nation?
Yeah, we're pumped. We're excited to have you guys. As always, my name is Shay. I'm one of the co-hosts of the show, and with me is my buddy and my friend Tyler. Tyler, how you doing?
Good. We should high five. Oh no, this way. Digital high five.
Well, for me, it's
no. No, I don't know.
For me, I'd have to go like this to get to your screen.
Oh, man, I don't know. Anyways, I'm doing good. How are you, man?
Oh, I'm doing all right. We're rocking the Sunday Cool, right?
Ooh,
I got
Sunday Cool.
You got your mug, right?
That's right. Sunday Cool. Make Sunday cool again. Boom.
Right. If you guys don't know what Sunday Cool is, they don't sponsor us, by the way. SundayCool.com. Awesome stuff.
They should sponsor us, because I think that's all I own for t-shirts is Sunday Cool. I'm at, today's the one day I'm actually not wearing. I'm just wearing a V-neck, but Sunday Cool, the most comfortable t-shirts ever.
I totally agree. That was totally off topic. We're not planning on a Sunday Cool promotion.
It's like wearing a diaper. I don't even know. Never worn it. Been a while since I've worn a diaper, but
it's been a while since I've worn one as well. But Tyler, last night was our ministry nights.
Yes, it was.
So how did midweek go for you, man?
It went well. We, I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but the Zoom fatigue thing has been real. But we shifted last week, and we started pre-recording some of our stuff and having them in small group, do more interactive stuff in small group. So it's not like 80 people hanging out in the large group. But we try to go real small, kind of really orange. Orange would be very proud of us, small group focused type stuff. And so it was, right. It was good. And you might notice I'm a little bit more clean shaven. We had a little challenge where it ended up, we had the loser had to shave. And so it looks like this. This is what it looks like. That's me and Chris. We for sure had to shave down to a mustache. So we had a little photo shoot, had some fun with it.
Mustache.
Yeah, right. Had a little photo shoot.
I have a mustache. I'm baby face for the rest of my life. So
yeah, I wish that I didn't look like a caveman. So, because it's very, I don't know. It's yeah, I don't know. We'll just leave it at that. So no, it was good. We had good attendance, good hangout. Students stayed on afterwards. We played Hangman online. Nice. That was pretty fun. So just a good night of talking about community and how we can love people well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you, man? What'd you guys do?
Oh, well, so we like I've been doing, we've been pre-recording our messages. So we started actually shout out, man, we're shouting out everyone. Shout out to Grow on the free new series, because of all the Zoom fatigue and everything. I just I had no energy to create any kind of lesson. And I was just like, man, I'm ready to start meeting again in person. And then Grow gave out 2 of their series for free, Doubt It and More Than a Hashtag.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely loved. It was seriously like a godsend for me. So I went through the More Than a Hashtag, made it applicable for my ministry, which was a little hard because I had some students who don't know what a hashtag is because they're not on social media. So I actually have in my video explained what a hashtag is, which
goodness.
It was really interesting. And
that's a pound sign.
But so we did that. We talked about More Than a Hashtag and brought in a bunch of modern day examples on how we could fight justice. And essentially the theme of the whole series, at least how I took it and reformatted it a little bit, was how do we move from complaining to action? Is what I was really challenging the students, because we can all be really good at complaining. So we talked about that. I had no students show up to Zoom last night. I sat there in an empty Zoom meeting. And then all the students texted me. They were like, Shay, we can't do Zoom right now. We just want a night off. And I was like, I can't disagree. Like, I totally agree, guys. You need a night off from Zoom. It's not the same thing as, meeting in person. I get it. So, have a good night off. And that was that. So it was a little depressing, but
Yeah.
uh they all watched my message, and some students texted me with some questions too. So and I know that they watched it because I have about 8 students who watch it each week, and I have 10 views. So I'm assuming that 8 of those views are those students, and
One
then
of
the
them was
2
me.
are mine. Oh, one was you.
You
Nice.
represent.
And then one's me clicking on it to make sure it all looks good.
That's
So
right.
there's
There you
there's
go.
10 views right there.
Nailed it.
But that was midweek for us. It was kind of a lower week this week, but we'll get through it. I know the students aren't upset with me. They're not blaming me for anything. It's just a situation and the time we're in, and I'm just glad they're still texting and communicating with me. So
Yeah.
I'll
But
take
we
that
have
as
light at the end of the tunnel.
we do, because we got some great news yesterday, Tyler.
Yeah, we
Our
did.
governor uh, will let the stay-at-home order expire on Monday, the 18th,
Yep.
and we are moving to what he calls Stay Safe Minnesota. So we're allowed to meet in groups of 10 or less. Shout out to my youth group. What up? Uh, small youth groups for the win.
Yeah.
And then so we can meet in groups of 10 or less. And then we just have to make sure that we're still practicing social distancing by 6 feet still, I think was
Yep.
the number he still gave. And then strongly encouraged us to wear masks. And then at June 1st, as of now, bars and restaurants can still open. He extended his governor duty powers until June 12th. So he said he can roll back the dials, as he's been calling them, if he wants to.
If we're naughty.
Yeah. So we'll see what we'll see what happens. But that was really good news. It's light at the end of the tunnel. It's very promising. Looks very promising for us as youth leaders, hoping we can get back to some kind of meeting.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, we also want to bring in the next element of the toolbox with it,
Yeah.
because just because we can meet doesn't necessarily mean we should meet, and that we have to understand that everyone has different opinions on this, and how there are some people who think that the governor should have held the stay-at-home order until we had a vaccine. Other people are like, this is a giant political hoax kind of thing. So there's opinions on this all over the spectrum. And as leaders, we can have opinions, but
Mm-hmm.
as leaders, we also have to understand that people have opinions and lead into that well. And one of the best ways we can lead well in that time is through how we move with empathy and sympathy towards not just our own congregation, but the community that surrounds us. And so today we just wanted to just take a few moments here just to equip you guys to give you that line of empathy, I guess you can call it, and how it is we can translate that. And it's probably more explaining that to our students right now more than it is them understanding it. But I think this is an extremely important toolbox that I think we should all have. So, Tyler, I'll let you open up with your thoughts on that. What do you think about that, man?
Yeah, so I think in the toolbox of things we want to equip students with, empathy falls into that. And you might go, okay, well, isn't that just like a good rule of thumb for life in general? And I would say, yeah, absolutely. I also believe that all of Jesus's teachings and everything, like all of our relationships, would carry out things like sound doctrine and a servant heart and empathy and all those kind of things. And so for empathy, I think it's equipping students and our leaders and everybody to know like Jesus, he oozed with empathy, right? I think about the time where he came in, and I think he was looking over Jerusalem, might have been Bethany, and it says that he had compassion on them, right? Like he looked and he said they were like sheep without a shepherd. And I love that Greek word splognidzomai, right? And it's like his stomach turned, and he just he felt for them, right? His heart broke for them. And I think about compassion and sympathy and empathy and how important it is to be teaching that, and thinking developmentally for teenagers, right? Is especially in middle school, like there's this they're very focused on themselves, And empathy is a great tool that we need to begin to teach and begin to preach, and just as a culture thing in our youth groups, in small groups, whether you're a small group leader, whether you're a youth pastor, whether you're leading a group of students yourself as a student.
Right.
Teaching empathy and living out empathy is so important because it helps us see. And I looked up the definition of empathy just because why not, right? But empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. And thinking about this whole coronavirus thing and all this stuff going on, like lots of people have fears and they have worries, whether it's about getting the virus or the economy or what people are thinking about them or whatever it might be. To be able to put ourselves in other people's shoes, it's so important, and it's a learned skill, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that always necessarily comes natural to us. Some people naturally empathy is a thing. On the Strength Finders, maybe, I don't know if you're familiar with the Strength Finders.
Yeah.
There's like 36 or whatever.
Yeah.
Um,
Who's my number one? Woo woo.
Woo is your number one. Nice. Woo's my number two. Okay, but empathy is the last one on my list. Like, and so, which is always funny when I tell people that, like, hey, I'm a pastor and empathy is the lowest on my list.
Hmm.
And so it's like, oh, but that doesn't mean I'm a jerk, right? Like, I think sometimes
Right.
we could be like, oh, I'm not empathetic at all. Doesn't mean that's an excuse not to be empathetic. It's a skill that I had to learn. I had to
Right.
learn to be sympathetic. I had to learn to be empathetic because I'm a fixer, right? So I see a problem and I say, okay, let's shut up and let's fix it.
Right.
And sometimes people just need someone to empathize with them. So
Hmm.
I think it's a learned skill that we can learn, we can build into our culture, and it starts with you as leaders to be able to build that out and to grow that out in your culture. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, that's my initial thoughts, I guess. What do you think, Shay?
Yeah, I think for me, a lot of my students will always ask me whenever I explain something like this, right? So we went through you went through a whole great explanation on, why we should be empathetic and
Hmm.
all that jazz. And I know the first thing after I say that, if I were to say that to my students, they would be like, okay, but how do I
Mm,
do it kind of thing. And I actually love the More Than a Hashtag series because I was able to bring that element in this past week.
that's good.
So when I think of empathy, one of the biggest things that come to my mind was actually the verse that you use in week 1 of that series, which is from Micah 6:6-8. And the verse 8 is the coffee cup Bible verse, to do what is right, to love mercy, and to walk humbly with the Lord.
Hmm.
That's what God loves. But the empathy part to me uh, comes with the walking humbly with the Lord. I see those things going hand in hand. So
That's
what
so
I,
good.
what I challenge the students with this week, and I got a little pushback from parents telling me I don't understand what the students are going through, and that's true. I graduated high school, walked, and everything, so I don't truly understand what it is they're going through. But what I tried to challenge them with was, if we're going to walk humbly and we're going to be an empathetic people to the world, was that we have to understand that, yes, like I really want my high school graduation to happen, but if I can just step back and see the bigger picture of what's going on around me, maybe this probably isn't the best thing to do.
Mm,
And I know that's not a popular opinion, especially for us in youth ministry right now. But when I think of practically like being empathetic, I mean, that could be one of the things that we do is just that idea that we just step back and just look at everything as a whole. It's like those games where they zoom in really close on something. You're like, man, what is that an image of, kind of thing? And until
mm,
they pull the image back, you're able to be like, oh, that's a screw or whatever like that.
yeah.
I mean, to me, like that's one of the biggest ways that we can learn to be empathetic is just by not doing really anything to be empathetic, but just take a step back and just look at everything and realize, and when you take that step back, if you're taking that step back, you're already walking in that humility that you're going to realize, dang, it's not about me. There's a lot of other people here who are hurting, and that to me, that's the first step of empathy,
Mm.
and how we learn that. And my wife, I don't know if people would say that spiritual gifting, if empathy is a spiritual gift, but I tell her all the time she has the spiritual gift of empathy.
It
Like
probably
she
ties in with mercy, right?
Yeah. I mean, she can grieve with other people, even though she's never walked through something. Like, she can just tap into that person's emotions and truly understand it and grieve with them, which I don't understand. And so I tell her all the time, like, dude, you have the spiritual gift of empathy. Like, I've thought about tying it in with mercy too, where I'm just like, man, it just seems it goes beyond mercy. Like, you are just empathetic.
Yeah.
And so to me, like, that's my thoughts would be, how do we do it? Well, just start by taking a step back and just looking at everything that goes on around you.
Yeah, I think I'm a big fan of mantras, like words, and like
Mhm.
especially in building culture. One of the things early on when I came into the role that I'm in now was part of it taking it out of my story of God really communicated to me when I was young, like, hey, even in your sin, I know you and I love you, and that transformed my life. And
Yeah.
so my big mantra that we have in our ministry is you are known and you're loved, and we want to create a
Mhm.
culture where people are known and loved. And so I'm a big fan of mantras and words and things like that. And just hearing that now, just thinking about how I could begin to build empathy into my youth group, right? Is the idea of look around,
Right.
right? We're so focused, just even thinking about this whole coronavirus thing, and everybody has different opinions and everything like that. And like we take the time to just stop, slow down, and look around, like zoom
Yeah.
out or whatever. And so I just think like that idea of look around could be so helpful. Just, I mean, if that's the hack that you take, is like, how do you begin to get students to look around in your youth group?
Yeah.
That's going to aid you in your community, because they're going to look around when people come in, and when they're going to be attentive to when people are hurting, to say
Right.
that. And look around, it's easy, right? It's easy to repeat, it's repeatable,
Yes.
it's sticky. um like, what if that just became a mantra in some ways of, hey, this is who we are at so such and such student ministries or such and such
Right.
youth group. This is who we are. We look around. Um, and
Right.
that's just the easy way, because empathy, we could be like, we have empathy, and people would be like, what? How do I do that? But I love
Yeah.
that. I love that what you said, Shay. Like, we can
Mhm.
look around. Like,
Mhm.
it begins there. Okay. And then
Yeah.
once we look around, then we do something about it. So look around
Right.
and do stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we don't always have to have it sound the most like super spiritual. Like, I think sometimes we think, maybe as youth pastors or as youth leaders, that we have to like
Mm.
Jesus juke everything, where, and then
Oh
like all
yeah.
of a sudden, like we have to write like, hey, here's who we are in our youth group in the King James version. We are thouest whatever. Like, nah,
Right.
keep it keep it simple. Like,
Yeah.
hey,
For
we want
sure.
people to feel known and loved, and we want to look around, and we want to then do what we see, like help with what we see.
Right.
um
Right. I love that.
yeah.
Love it. Cool. Well, I think that's a great ending point for us. So, I think we kept this one pretty short, actually,
I
Tyler. I
know
think
this
people are
might be
gonna
our
appreciate
shortest,
this.
podcast. I turned the timer on today. We're at
Nice.
17 minutes.
17 minutes. Okay. Well, our goal was under 20.
We
So
did. We said. So, well, there you go. Hey,
yeah.
we would
So
love for you guys
yeah,
to subscribe to our YouTube, to go find us on any platform that you're listening to. I think we're on it all. We're like
we are on everything right now.
everything. And so you can go
Everything, even the
subscribe,
third party Apple podcast things that people listen to. So
right? So we would love for you to go subscribe. You can send us information or emails with questions. Shay, hit them with our email.
yeah, our email is 412equip@gmail.com. I'll put that in the show notes below. Again, you'll find show notes on any podcast platform. So just search the 412 podcast, no semicolon between 4 and 12. And then our social media handles are at the 412 podcast. So that's how you can find us. Send us DMs, emails, however it is you want to contact us. Send us your questions. We would love that. And so with that, my name is Shay. Thanks again, guys, so much for listening. And with me, as always, is my buddy Tyler.
I'm Tyler.
See you guys later. Have a good one.
See ya.